Really, JR? You think you can still do this?
I'm focused.
You're way too old to hit that target from there.
I've been listening to everything you said. It's been running through my head, locked and loaded.
All right, still got it. Still got it.
Who's old now?
All right, welcome in, hockey fans in the Southwest. It's hockey season, but it's hockey season all the time here at the Yard Hockey Training Center in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. When we were up here doing our podcast, I said, I think I got to stop in and see Jason because I got to find out what's going on here. I've heard a lot of good things. Time to come in and take a look for yourself. You were gracious enough to let us in. Jason Laricchia? Laricchia. Yep. Okay, Laricchia. See, I always get it wrong one time. So, Jason, thanks for having us in. You showed us around already, but tell us a little bit about how this all got started and what the concept was behind it, why you wanted to do it here in Las Vegas.
You know, so with the growth of hockey out here, especially youth hockey and hockey in general, coaching at some of the local rinks and the house leagues, I saw a real disconnect between the players who were getting extra coaching and extra ice time and the way that they were progressing in their skills, as opposed to the regular beginning hockey player who was just getting that once a week practice time with their ice touch and once a week game time. So I wanted to put something together that would allow kids and adults, you know, beginning hockey players to help improve their skills and help grow the game in Las Vegas, so that the product that we were putting out was better, you know, when they were going to tournaments and playing outside the state.
Okay, so we'll get to the product in a minute, but the first thing that I noticed when I came in here is you've got this divided into three areas, right? You've got shooting lanes, you've got the rink, and then you've got what you call the pad for goalie work, and they all have unique features. So let's start right over here with what's in front of us, which is the lanes. Tell us a little bit about the lanes and the shooting lanes and why that was important to be here.
So the lanes, I would say, are pretty much like batting cages for hockey. We've got 5 shooting lanes, all 10 feet wide by about 40 feet deep, 5 full-size regulation nets. We've got goalie shooter tutors in front of them. Each lane's got a bucket of pucks, passer, stick handling gear, just so that players could come in, utilize the lanes with their ice skates on, gloves and helmet, and being able to get a realistic feel for their shot and practice, as opposed to just standing in their tennis shoes on their driveway or in their backyard or on their rollerblades, where the feel is not the same for your footwork as it would be on regular ice.
And the beauty here is not only that, but the surface you're telling me about is so realistic. I watch here, and people will see the video of you moving around on it. It's very similar to ice, and no shavings.
Yep, exactly. No shavings. The product is can ice, and we did extensive research, demoed and tested pretty much every synthetic surface available, and nothing compared to can ice. If real ice is 100%, skating on can ice is about 90. Puck movement's about 95. It's just an amazing product.
Okay, so you told me off camera a little story about how this all came about for your trip up to Minnesota to the state high school tournament. I'm a Minnesota native, so I know all about that. But tell us a little bit about bringing your 8-year-old up there and how impressed people were of the usage of the surface.
Yeah, so the CFO invited us out to the hockey expo at the state championship tournament. Yep. And so I took my 8-year-old son, who's a goalie, out there, took his pads and his gear, and we demoed it. And with him being 8, full pads, doing push slides, skating around, stops, T-pushes, and shuffles on the surface, people walking by were just amazed at his age and what he could do on it, that if it worked for him, a high school kid, an adult kid, like, this stuff has to be amazing if an 8-year-old goalie is able to push slide and make it look like it's real ice.
Okay, so we jump from the lanes, we go over to the rink. Tell us the philosophy behind the rink and why that was important, an important piece to be in this facility.
So the rink, I wanted to get the rink in. It's a 40 by 90, so about half scale of a full size. And again, just to be able to give coaches and players another space to come to practice small ice drills, to practice passing, to practice positioning, where you're maybe not having to rent a full hour of ice on the real ice rink. And I don't want to say waste time, but you don't want to spend that real ice time on positioning and certain stuff where you could come in here and still get the same feel. And as a Minnesota native, you'll probably appreciate this, and I didn't tell you earlier, but these boards and glass are all from Shattuck St. Mary's.
Oh, are they really?
When they updated their surface this past March, I was able to get these boards. So there's some history in these boards.
There you go. A little Minnesota in Las Vegas never hurts anything. Okay, so right behind us, the pad, the third part of this puzzle, equation, workout area. Tell us about the pad and why that's an important piece.
So the other thing with wanting to put this together, and especially having my son that plays goalie and working with goalie coaches out here, is having a specific area just for the goalies to be able to get their work and their training in. So the goalie pad has 3 full-size creases. 3 coaches can be working with goalies at the same time. It allows the goalies to have their own space so that they're not on the rink like they would be in a stick and puck scenario where they're trying to work on little things and you've got a constant line of shooters coming up saying, hey, can I take a shot on you? Hey, can we do breakaways? Hey, can I do this? The goalies have their own space. They can get their work and their practice in when they want to.
Okay, I asked you a little bit about the facility and trying to find the facility. You said that was the hardest part. Tell us how hard it is to find. I mean, you can find warehouse space all over the place, but it's got to be a little specific, especially for what you do, right?
Yeah, so even though we're a synthetic surface and I don't have to keep it super cold in here for the ice, I still have to keep it super cold in here because players are, especially goalies, are in full gear. Players are in gear with helmets and sticks. So finding a warehouse facility that had air conditioning existing was a very, very tough call.
So you got this spot, not far from the Strip, not far. Well, nothing's far in Vegas, right? I mean, but you're kind of halfway between the City National and Henderson and Lifeguard Arena over there. So we're going to get into it in just a minute about the growth of hockey here, because I know you've seen it. That's why you're here. But be more specific on the training part of it, because as you were telling me off camera, you're seeing kids that this aren't on the right trajectory in your mind to become those elite players. There's a lot of players that are playing, a lot of them that are having fun doing it, but this will help you accelerate that process, correct?
Yeah, so you see it out here, especially coaching, and playing in tournaments and stuff, where you can see the players who, I don't want to say are the best players in Vegas, but the ones who are highly skilled and are progressing. You see that progression go up, and if you look at all of them, 99% of them are the ones who are on the ice at 5 in the morning. They're getting extra coaching sessions. They're going and doing clinics and camps out of state, in state when they come in. So those kids that are getting more ice time, those are the ones that are progressing. The kids who are just playing house league and just getting their once a week practice and their once a week game times, those kids are kind of staying plateaued.
Makes sense.
So by doing this, I wanted to give that opportunity to the people who can't make it out at 5 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, before school or before work, a general place to be able to come in and work on those skills and help that level of hockey grow in Vegas.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back and we'll talk a little bit specifically about the growth of hockey in Vegas and why this has become essential, and then we'll finish things up by getting more specific about the hours and the costs and the things that you do to bring people here and survive as a business, right? It's a pandemic. It's not easy.
Nope.
All right, we'll be right back, folks.
Really, JR? You think you can still do this?
I'm focused.
You're way too old to hit that target from there.
I've been listening to everything you said. It's been running through my head, locked and loaded.
All right, still got it. Still got it.
Who's old now?
All right, we're back here at the Yard Hockey Training Center, beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. When you come up here for a number of reasons, but when I come up here, I look for hockey, and this is the newest, hottest spot to be. Coolest spot inside, though. The Yard Hockey Training Center. I got Jason Laricchia with me. I got it right, guys. So we talked, Jason, in the first segment about the facility, right? The 3 separate areas. But there had to be a reason why you thought this was a needed business. I mean, I told you off camera about when I started our business, we wanted to grow hockey in the desert Southwest through things like this, through presentations and interviews and all the different things that go along with that. But your desire to do this, why?
Again, it almost selfishly, like, I want to see the talent level of hockey players coming from Vegas grow at a quicker speed than maybe it normally would. I mean, you start to see a lot of the players coming out of the Phoenix area, and Austin Matthews, some of these younger players coming up now, players out of Southern California.
Right.
I mean, I'm a product of Southern California hockey. When Gretzky came to the Kings,
Yeah.
Now you're starting to see these kids come out of San Diego, Orange County, Bakersfield. You're seeing these kids who hockey's been around Southern California for, over 30 years now, and they're just starting to explode.
Right.
Phoenix area, it's over 20 years now. They're just starting to hit that market. I don't want Vegas to have to wait 20 plus years before we get a Vegas kid that makes it to the next level.
Well, and that's really important. And of course, with the Golden Knights coming in, we know what Bill Foley's done with the multiple ice surfaces that he's bringing in. But as fast as he puts them up, they're being used, aren't they?
Oh yeah, I mean it's crazy. As a house league coach at CNA, and my son plays at City National, the amount of ice time that you see that's non-existent is insane. I was playing men's adult league for a while, and our games didn't even start till 9 o'clock.
Right.
And you could get a 9, 10, or 11 o'clock start, and as soon as Lifeguard Arena just opened up, you've already still got. You would think it would help, but you still have the same issues.
Because more and more kids want to play the game. They see it. Being a Minnesotan and coming from the quote-unquote state of hockey, everybody says hockey's down there is not the same. And Paul, my co-host, and I joke on our college hockey show because the University of Minnesota has never wanted to beat a team worse than the Arizona State Sun Devils whenever they play. It's like, you guys are not coming here to beat us anywhere. In our rink, your rink, doesn't matter. You're not going to beat us. Okay, you've seen the growth of it in Vegas. Is there a difference between hockey here and hockey anywhere else, or can everybody develop at the same pace, or your thoughts on that?
I think right now there's still a difference.
Yeah.
Again, you see Vegas is that transplant city, right? So you see a lot of people who come from other states, who've been from other areas, who maybe have grown up around the game of hockey. But you have a lot of brand new people to hockey. Parents who have put their kids in. Their kids found hockey because the Knights started. So there's still a little bit of a disconnect, because if you're just in the Vegas hockey market and you only know this, it's not the same as going back east and playing in Boston and playing in Minnesota. We took a youth mite team and a squirt team to Boston last year for a fun little summer tournament. Right. We were all excited and everyone was ready to go. And there was a handful of us who grew up around hockey. And my wife's from Boston. We knew that, we knew what was going to happen. And there was the other half who had never played and been around hockey outside of Vegas. And it was a very rude awakening for some parents to kind of see this is what hockey's like outside of the desert.
When people talk here about, it's all the same ice. Still, the dimensions of the rink are the same. The ice, sometimes the ice in the warmer climates can even be better in some arenas. I mean, T-Mobile is one of the best in the NHL. You've seen the growth of the rinks. Now you've seen the growth of this, but tell us a little more detail about this particular surface and what you did to find this surface.
So it took a while to figure out what surface I wanted to use for the training facility. I mean, obviously ice would have been ideal. It's just way too expensive to do out here in the desert unless you have a full-size rink, and even then it's still crazy expensive. But like I said, I demoed, I think, every available surface out there. I have a synthetic rink in my backyard that's different from this stuff. At the time, 2 years ago when I got it, it was the best available. This stuff came on the market a little over a year ago, and I don't think anything's going to beat it for a while.
Okay, so a lot of people out here know roller hockey. Tell us the difference between developing your skills roller side and in your shoes, as you were talking earlier, or being able to come out here with your skates. The feel is completely like you're on the ice, correct?
Yeah, the feel on this with your skates on is just like you're on the ice. So your footwork, your positioning, your angles, everything's going to be the same. If you're working at home just in your tennis shoes, you can put your feet how you need to, but now your stick height's going to be off. That slide of your feet when you shoot and weight transfer is going to be different. And with roller, it's the same thing, right? You have to adjust your feet completely different when you're shooting based on the fact that you're going to roll out of it, as opposed to, ice, you can dig in your edges.
Okay, so let's talk about you. How long have you been in Vegas? How long have you been playing the game of hockey? And how did you get started yourself?
So I've been in Vegas since 2006, so coming up on 15 years. Moved out here from Southern California. And like I said earlier, I was a product of Gretzky coming to the Kings. I knew about hockey before. And I wouldn't say I necessarily had a favorite team, but I knew of the sport. And Gretzky came to the Kings at the same time rollerblades were becoming popular on the market. So everybody in Southern California was getting a pair of rollerblades and playing roller hockey. And that's how I grew up, was playing roller hockey, because ice at that time in California, there was still a handful of rinks, but it was still pretty expensive to play ice hockey. So I grew up playing roller, and then didn't start playing ice till I went to college and actually went to the University of Hawaii. And the only roller rink to play hockey available was on the Pearl Harbor Navy base. So as a civilian, to get on was impossible, and it would take 2 hours for me to get on the base to play hockey for 45 minutes. So I started playing ice out there, because the ice rink out there, it was all military guys who were stationed on the islands. So you were playing with guys from all over the place. And then I don't think I've been back to roller since then. It's been over 20 years now.
Okay, so in Vegas, you've seen the growth, right? The last 15 years. 15 years ago, nothing. 10 years ago, maybe nothing. 6 years ago, things started to fire up with the Golden Knights getting their franchise, and now the Henderson Silver Knights are coming in the American Hockey League, and UNLV's program has grown at the ACHA D1 level. So 2 quick questions. Number one is, can UNLV or can Las Vegas support an NCAA hockey tournament in your eyes, a hockey team in your eyes?
I think so. I think with the growth of the Golden Knights, especially with what they did year one, helped accelerate it that much quicker. And being able to get an AHL team out here and allowing more people to go experience the game at a different level. Again, new hockey fans, if they only know the Golden Knights, they only know NHL level hockey. I don't want to say they're in for a rude awakening when the Silver Knights start playing, because it's still going to be amazing hockey at the AHL level, but again, it's still minor leagues compared to the NHL. And going to UNLV games, I think they can get there. It's just going to be a matter of the fan base being there, and once they become a program that can support the size. I know that when it comes to D1 hockey, a lot of it is the money behind the program, because then you start getting bigger name players who've been drafted and teams have rights on them, and you get some of these higher level junior players coming in. So once the team is at that level, I don't think it'll be a problem for them to support. I mean, we've got UNLV, we've got the Knights, the Silver Knights, we've got the T-Birds as an up-and-coming junior team who's playing amazing this season. There's a lot of room for growth here, and the expansion of this city, that I've seen in the last 15 years, I don't think it'll take that long for it to be able to support multiple teams.
Okay, so I joked with Kerry Boobles when I was over at the Henderson Silver Knights Lifeguard Arena opening, and I said, Vegas Golden Knights, Henderson Silver Knights, we're going down to Boulder City for the Bronze Knights. He said, hey, you just gave me an idea. So who knows in that aspect, but I think NCAA comes first before an ECHL team, but interesting anyway.
They could throw the Bronze Knights up in Reno.
There you go.
ECHL team up there.
That would be cool. Okay, so last question on this segment is, you've been here long enough to know and been through 2 major developments in the last 6 years. 1 October, which was a tragedy that pulled hockey together. Now the pandemic. And I tell everybody that I talk to that I'm so proud of Vegas and so proud to cover Vegas, because nothing has seemed to slow down through 2 major events, right? You use 1 October to bring everybody together. You're using the pandemic to just show people that you can continue on and hockey's still relevant. Is that Vegas? Is that Vegas style from what you know, or is there something different that we don't know about here in Vegas area?
I think it is I think it's Vegas style. Again, not being born and raised here and being a transplant, but being here for 15 years and seeing the growth. I feel like because Vegas is a big transplant city, that once people come and set roots down here, and especially if you're starting a family and you're living here and you're working here and you're building your life here, it's easy for you to connect, right? So 1 October, as a tragedy, with the Knights and hockey being able to kind of bring it together and the city to be able to get behind something, and now with the pandemic, the same thing. Everyone's, unfortunately, everyone's in the same boat, right? Whether you're back at work, whether you're a strip worker or an entertainment person who hasn't been able to go back to work yet, we're all kind of there together. But again, it's been a week now, and everybody I know every other day is glued to their TV to watch the Knights, and they're waiting for the Silver Knights to come on, and a little bird over at City National told me that we might be seeing some Silver Knights games on TV once they start. So that would be nice too. It'd be nice to see them, be able to get some coverage and get some backing.
All right, I'll wrap it up on this one. When I came over here the first year of the Golden Knights and they made that push, and I went down and did a playoff picture, basically. I wanted to talk to fans and find out why. Because two things that got me, Jason. I looked at jerseys, and normally you'll see NHL jerseys with players' names of the stars, right? But I went through and took pictures of the back of jerseys. There was every player plus some that had their names on the jerseys. So it was a whole team effort. Then I talked to parents, right? And I got several parents that they had bought the whole lineup, right? Custom jerseys for their kids, themselves. And I said, where did you get the hockey fandom from? And they said, you know what? We knew nothing about hockey. We were baseball or soccer, but the Golden Knights brought it in. Vegas style. I'm guessing that's going to be the same thing here. People are going to come out because they know this is Vegas style and support Vegas style businesses.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm hoping too. My family was there year one. We all have jerseys coming in, and again, my wife and I were both existing hockey fans before, so we knew. Right. But I mean, you see jerseys of you were seeing jerseys of the fourth line guys year one, and who gets that jersey, right? And you wouldn't just see one, you'd see multiples. Yes. So I think with opening this to hockey, the one thing I like about hockey is that it's very community based and it's very the hockey family based, and it's not just in Vegas. That's anywhere. Yep. So when you opening a hockey based business, there's already that sense of community and that sense of belonging, as opposed to just opening any kind of business, right? There's already there's a connection built in.
All right. I got to say one more thing, and then Paul's going to fall over because he's running the camera for me here. But when I was talking to those people, I would see the back of the jersey. I'd go ask them if I could take permission of the back of their jersey. First person I ran into was Cody Glass. I saw a Glass jersey. It was Cody's dad. Okay. And Cody wasn't even on the roster. So that was kind of cool. And then I'm standing over, I see thousands of Shea Theodore jerseys, but I'm standing by New York, and that little pavilion there just off of Toshiba. And I take a Shea Theodore picture, and I'm talking to the guy, and he goes, yeah, Shea's my son. So that's the hockey community. I mean, you don't see that in other sports where you can actually go up and meet the parents of hockey players. You don't see football players like that. I don't know why it is. It's just the love of the game, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard to explain that.
It's an
again, hockey is such a small community.
Right. As
big a sport as it is, it's still very small. I mean, living here, you run into players in Summerlin, and you see them at the shopping center, you see them at restaurants, and and again, a fourth line guy who in any other city, no one could walk, or they could walk around wearing their jersey and you wouldn't even know it was a player, right?
Right.
But they came to Vegas and you knew every single guy. You knew guys like Jason Garrison, Clayton Stoner, right. Some of these guys who, Luke Spiza, guys who were getting sent up and down that first year, back and forth, just on paper, but weren't playing a lot. Those guys were getting mobbed wherever they went.
Yep.
You run into people at a game and you start talking to them and you find out it's an aunt, it's an uncle, it's a parent. Right. But everybody's approachable. I think in other sports, and you get these superstar players, you don't want people to know that that's your son or that's your daughter, because people are only going to talk to you because you feel like they want something out of you. Where in hockey, a conversation starts up based on a jersey, based on whatever, and you make that connection not even knowing who that person is. And once you find out who that person is, it's cool, but at the same time, it kind of doesn't matter. I'm not going to treat Cody's dad any different once I know it's Cody's dad than I did before.
Right.
Because, it's...
Yeah, I hear you.
They're all people.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up with one more segment. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk about how you get into this place and the other amenities that are here. We'll be right back.
Really, JR? You think you can still do this?
I'm focused.
You're way too old to hit that target from there.
I've been listening to everything you said. It's been running through my head, locked and loaded.
All right, still got it. Still got it.
Who's old now?
All right, welcome back in, hockey fans in the Southwest. We're still in Vegas. We're still at the Yard. We're talking to the owner, right? Jason Laricchia is here with me still. We talked about the facility. We talked about hockey in Vegas. Now let's wrap it up, Jason, by telling us the amenities around here and your hours and how people can get in and use this facility and types of costs and groups and all those different things. So start wherever you'd like.
So the Yard's located at 7195 Bermuda Road, and we're smack dab in the middle of the valley, about right in between Summerlin and Henderson. Easy access to everybody, about a block away from the airport car rental return, so people kind of get a gist of where it is. Right now, Monday through Fridays, we're open 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. We're going to be extending our hours pretty soon to open up a little earlier in the day, probably about 9 o'clock, so to give some of the adults access during the day, or the kids who aren't in school right now and doing remote learning, a chance to come in during the day too when they're not doing schoolwork. Pricing for our shooting lane starts at $12 for 30 minutes up to $32 for an hour, depending on if you're using one of our LED target nets or not.
Okay.
Rink rental is $100 an hour flat for a team. Doesn't matter how many people you have on it. And then the goalie pad is mainly for coaching.
Yeah.
So players pay an ice fee to us, and then whatever they pay their coach for training is between them and their coach.
Okay, so do you have coaches here besides yourself that come in and use it, or is it kind of an independent thing?
It's an independent thing. We don't have specific Yard coaches that work here, but I did that specifically to give coaches from any rink in the Valley access to be able to come in and train their players. Because if you coach at one rink, you're not allowed to coach at another rink, and vice versa. So by kind of creating a neutral space, it's going to allow coaches from any rink to come in and get extra time in.
Okay, so when I came through the front doors, I saw the front little office part, and you led me back through the little mini locker room for changing, things like that. But you also got a parent lounge, don't you?
I do. I have a parent lounge upstairs because, again, I know that parents spending all that time in the ice rink. One, you don't want to spend time in the cold ice rink or the air-conditioned yard necessarily. You don't want to listen to pucks hitting the glass, hitting the pipes all for an hour because you're so used to it. So there's a parent lounge upstairs. It's nice and heated. Got a couple couches, some coffee tables, a couple old school video games in there just to keep the parents occupied, younger siblings occupied, and give them their own little space.
Okay, and the other thing that caught my eye right coming in, I know it caught my cameraman and my co-host's eye as well, is the memorabilia on the wall. Tell us about the memorabilia, the photos and things that you have hanging.
So one of the things I wanted to do is get that feel of like an old school hockey training center, even though it's not. So I've got a lot of banners from teams and players, and the hallway is covered with old hockey newspapers from like the 60s and 70s. Old school Canadian hockey magazines with, player Guy Lafleur on the cover, Marcel Dion. You've got, Gretzky ones. You've got Bernie Perron. You've got Grant Fuhr. A couple autographed pictures. The bathrooms have hockey cards on the walls. Like, just something to keep that feel of hockey and old school hockey, bringing it from the past, creating with the present.
Yeah, a lot of people just know the Golden Knights, have no idea of the past and some of the players that established it. Okay, so let's wrap things up by just giving a shout out to people here. I mean, let's go through the ages. How young, how old? Is there any age difference? You come in whenever you want.
So we've got players training all from 5 years old, and I think our youngest goalie is 6 that works out on the rink, all the way up to, I've had adult players in their 50s and 60s coming in, getting time in the shooting lanes. Again, if there's men's adult league players who they want to get some extra practice time in, they come in for 30 minutes, an hour, and shoot pucks on their own. Helps them get some work in before their game. So it's open to everyone. Everyone loves using it, and it's helping improve the skills of everybody in Vegas.
And again, they can find you how?
They can find us by going on Facebook, looking for theyardhockey.com. Our Instagram is the Yard _ Hockey Training Center. The phone number is 844-YARD702. And our website is theyardhockey.pike13.com. And once you log in there, you can see training schedule times and book your appointments and everything.
And I wouldn't let you go. We talked about the old school, but the new school stuff. I see your Mac computer over here. You do analysis and things like that as well?
I personally don't. There are a couple coaches who do some video analysis and stuff like that. I'm a Mac guy, so got to keep it looking clean with the Mac computers in for our,
Well done by a California native, right? All right, Jason Larecchia, thanks so much for inviting us in. It's been a pleasure to be here. Get on down to the yard, folks. It's just that simple. Get down here and work on your skills.